As a vet with 20 years of experience, I've seen dog owners make one heartbreaking mistake over and over again. You've been told that fruits and vegetables are healthy for dogs, but what no one warned you is that 13 everyday foods can shut down your dog's heart in minutes. Before you let your dog take another bite, you need to hear this. These are the 13 foods you should never, ever feed your dog. Number 1 looks innocent and delicious, but it's actually a double threat to your dog. Cherries. We already talked about the cyanide in the pits, but cherries present another unique danger. The flesh of the cherry itself contains elevated levels of dietary fiber and natural sugars that can cause severe gastrointestinal upset in dogs, leading to vomiting and diarrhea. But the real danger is the pit. Cherry pits are small and smooth, making them incredibly easy for dogs to swallow whole. Once in the digestive tract, if the pit gets lodged in the intestines, it creates a blockage that requires emergency surgery. And if your dog cracks the pit open with their powerful molars, that's when the cyanide releases. Plus, cherry plants and leaves are also toxic. If you have a cherry tree and your dog eats wilted leaves off the ground, those leaves actually contain higher concentrations of cyanide than fresh ones. The wilting process concentrates the toxins. Dogs have died from eating just a handful of wilted cherry leaves. Now, the second one is hiding in almost every kitchen, and you probably use it every single day when you cook. Onions. And this includes all forms: raw, cooked, powdered, or dehydrated. But here's what most people don't understand. It's not about your dog eating a whole onion. The danger is cumulative and sneaky. Onions contain thiosulfate compounds that attach to your dog's red blood cells like tiny parasites. They don't kill the cells immediately. Instead, they mark them for destruction. Your dog's own immune system then attacks these marked cells, causing something called hemolytic anemia. Essentially, your dog's body starts destroying its own blood supply. The terrifying part? This can happen from small amounts over time. That little bit of onion powder in the baby food you're giving your sick dog, those onion scraps that fell on the floor during dinner prep, they're all adding up. And by the time you notice symptoms like pale gums, weakness, and orange-colored urine, significant damage has already occurred. Just 1/3 of a medium onion can be toxic to a 20-pound dog. Here's number 3, and this one surprises everyone because it's considered a superfood for humans: avocado. Now, pay close attention because there's a dangerous myth circulating online about which part is safe. The creamy flesh that we eat in guacamole? That's actually relatively safe for dogs in small amounts. But here's where people make a fatal mistake. The skin, the pit, and especially the leaves of the avocado plant contain a toxin called persin. If your dog chews on that large pit because it seems like a fun toy, or if you have an avocado tree in your backyard and your dog munches on fallen leaves, persin causes fluid to accumulate around their heart and lungs. Imagine slowly drowning from the inside. That's what persin poisoning does. Plus, that large slippery pit? It's the perfect size to lodge in a dog's intestinal tract, requiring emergency surgery to remove. Even worse, some dog breeds are more sensitive to persin than others, and there's no way to predict which dogs will have severe reactions. Number 4 is sitting in your refrigerator right now, and you've probably given your dog the safe part as a healthy treat without realizing the other part could cause hallucinations: tomatoes. Here's the fascinating and scary part. Ripe, red tomatoes are perfectly safe. The fleshy part has beneficial nutrients like lycopene. But the green parts, the stems, the leaves, and unripe green tomatoes contain solanine and tomatine. These compounds are psychoactive in dogs. I've seen case reports of dogs that ate green tomatoes from a garden, and their owners found them staggering around, snapping at invisible objects. Pupils completely dilated, totally detached from reality. The dogs were literally hallucinating. Solanine also causes severe digestive damage with violent vomiting and diarrhea, but it's the neurological symptoms that are truly disturbing. Your dog might have tremors, seizures, or become completely unresponsive. And here's what makes it worse. The same toxin is in green potatoes and potato plants. So that potato that's been sitting too long and started sprouting with green patches, keep it far away from your dog. Now, number 5 includes some of the most popular fruits. And the dangerous part is something you'd never suspect contains a deadly poison used in spy movies: apple seeds. Along with cherry pits, peach pits, and plum pits. The flesh of these fruits, completely safe and nutritious. But inside those seeds and pits is a compound called amygdalin. When your dog chews and digests these seeds, amygdalin converts into cyanide in their digestive system. Yes, the same cyanide from murder mysteries. Now, 1 or 2 apple seeds won't kill your dog, but here's the problem. Dogs don't eat carefully like we do. If your dog gets into a bag of apples and crunches down multiple cores, or if they crack open a peach pit and eat the inner seed, they're consuming concentrated doses of cyanide. Symptoms of cyanide poisoning include bright red gums, difficulty breathing, dilated pupils, excessive salivation, and in severe cases, seizures, collapse, and death. The scary part? Cyanide works fast. It prevents cells from using oxygen, essentially suffocating your dog at the cellular level even though they're breathing. Number 6, grapes and raisins. Now, here's what makes grapes terrifying. Scientists still don't know exactly what compound in grapes causes toxicity. They've studied the seeds, the skin, the flesh, organic versus conventional, and they cannot pinpoint the exact toxin. But here's what they do know. Even a handful of grapes can trigger complete kidney failure in some dogs within 24 hours. But here's the really disturbing part. Not every dog reacts the same way. Some dogs can eat grapes their entire life with no issues. Others eat just 3 or 4 grapes and their kidneys start shutting down. It's like Russian roulette with your dog's organs. The first sign appears within an hour: sudden vomiting. If your dog vomits after eating grapes, you have a narrow window to prevent permanent kidney damage. Raisins are even more concentrated, making them exponentially more dangerous. 1 small box of raisins could be lethal. The big question is, do you really want to gamble with those odds? Here's number 7. And this one terrifies veterinarians because it's unpredictable: wild mushrooms. While store-bought mushrooms are generally safe, the mushrooms growing in your backyard could be lethal. The problem is identification. There are thousands of mushroom species, and some of the most toxic ones look nearly identical to safe varieties. Dogs don't discriminate, they just eat what smells interesting. Certain toxic mushrooms, like Amanita species, also called death caps, can cause complete liver failure within 48 hours. Other mushrooms cause severe neurological symptoms like tremors, seizures, and hallucinations. Some mushrooms contain muscarine, which causes excessive salivation, tears streaming from the eyes, slowed heart rate, and difficulty breathing. Here's the terrifying timeline. Your dog eats a toxic mushroom during your morning walk. They seem fine for 6 to 12 hours. Then suddenly, they start vomiting violently, have bloody diarrhea, become jaundiced, and their liver is shutting down. By the time symptoms appear, the damage is often irreversible. The only safe approach? Never let your dog eat any wild mushrooms, and regularly check your yard for mushroom growth, especially after rain. Number 8 is a popular ingredient in pies, but it's secretly stealing calcium from your dog's body: rhubarb. Most people know rhubarb leaves are toxic, but here's what they don't know about the stalks. Rhubarb contains high concentrations of oxalates, specifically oxalic acid. When ingested, oxalates bind to calcium in your dog's bloodstream and form crystals. These calcium oxalate crystals do 2 terrible things. First, they drop your dog's blood calcium to dangerously low levels, causing muscle tremors, weakness, and potentially fatal cardiac arrhythmias. Second, these sharp crystals pass through the kidneys, shredding delicate kidney tissue and potentially causing acute kidney failure. The mouth and throat exposure causes immediate burning pain, excessive drooling, and swelling that could obstruct breathing. But the kidney damage? That develops over hours to days. Even cooked rhubarb retains these oxalates. And rhubarb, Leaves are even worse, containing high enough concentrations to cause severe poisoning from just small amounts. Symptoms include vomiting, diarrhea, tremors, and increased thirst as the kidneys desperately try to flush out the crystals. Here's number 9. And most owners think these are healthy treats because they're packed with vitamin C. Oranges, lemons, limes, and grapefruits. But here's what's really happening inside your dog's stomach. Citrus fruits contain citric acid and essential oils, particularly in the peels, that are extremely difficult for dogs to process. While a small amount of orange flesh might not immediately harm your dog, the peels, seeds, and white pith contain concentrated oils that cause severe gastrointestinal distress. Your dog will experience intense stomach pain, vomiting, drooling, and explosive diarrhea. But here's the part most owners don't see coming. The high acidity can actually burn the lining of their esophagus and stomach, creating painful ulcers. Some dogs also show neurological symptoms like depression and light sensitivity after consuming citrus. And grapefruit? It's even more dangerous because it interferes with medication metabolism, potentially turning a normal dose of medication into a toxic overdose. If you're giving your dog any medications, grapefruit can be lethal. Number 10 is a fall favorite that seems harmless but creates a nightmare scenario inside your dog's digestive system. Persimmons. Dog owners love giving these as natural treats, thinking they're safe because they're soft and sweet. Fatal mistake. Persimmons contain incredibly high levels of tannins, particularly in the skin and unripe fruit. But the real danger is the seeds and pit. When persimmon seeds enter your dog's small intestine, they don't just pass through. They can cause a complete intestinal blockage. And here's why it's so dangerous. Persimmon seeds become sticky and gel-like when mixed with digestive fluids. They clump together, forming a mass called a bezoar that blocks the intestinal passage. Your dog will stop eating, start vomiting repeatedly, show severe abdominal pain, and become lethargic. Without emergency surgery to remove the blockage, the intestine can rupture, spilling bacteria into the abdominal cavity and causing fatal sepsis. Even the flesh of persimmons causes inflammation of the small intestine in many dogs. The high tannin content leads to severe diarrhea and stomach upset that can last for days. Here's number 11. And it's everywhere in the health food world right now. Coconut oil, coconut water, and coconut milk. Dog owners are pouring this stuff over their dog's food thinking it's a superfood. Here's the reality. Coconut flesh and coconut oil are extremely high in medium-chain triglycerides, which are fats that dogs struggle to digest properly. When dogs consume coconut products, the high fat content overwhelms their pancreas and digestive system. This leads to explosive, oily diarrhea that can last for days and severe stomach cramping. But here's where it gets worse. Repeated exposure to high-fat coconut products can trigger pancreatitis, a painful and potentially fatal inflammation of the pancreas. The pancreas starts digesting itself, causing excruciating pain, repeated vomiting, bloody diarrhea, and in severe cases, organ failure. Coconut water contains high levels of potassium that can disrupt your dog's electrolyte balance, affecting heart rhythm. And the hairy outer husk of coconuts? If your dog chews on that, the sharp fibers can perforate their intestinal lining or cause severe constipation and blockages. What's marketed as healthy for humans is creating emergency vet visits for dogs across the country. Number 12 is an ancient fruit that dog owners mistakenly share during snack time. Figs, both fresh and dried. They seem natural and healthy, but here's what figs are doing to your dog's body. Fresh figs contain an enzyme called phycine and natural latex in the skin and stem that causes severe allergic reactions in many dogs. Your dog might develop hives, intense itching, swelling of the face and throat, and difficulty breathing. The white, milky sap that oozes from fig stems and unripe figs is highly irritating, causing chemical burns in your dog's mouth and digestive tract. But even ripe figs without the sap create problems. Figs are absolutely loaded with natural sugars, much higher than most fruits. When dogs consume figs, their blood sugar spikes dramatically, putting enormous stress on their pancreas to produce insulin. Over time, this can contribute to diabetes and chronic pancreatitis. Dried figs are even more concentrated in sugar, and the sticky texture adheres to teeth, causing rapid dental decay. Plus, figs have a strong laxative effect due to their high fiber content. Your dog will experience severe diarrhea, dehydration, and abdominal cramping. Some dogs also show neurological symptoms like disorientation after eating figs. Here's number 13, and this one is criminally underestimated because it looks exotic and harmless. Starfruit, also called carambola. Some dog owners give this as a special tropical treat. This is one of the most nephrotoxic fruits for dogs. Starfruit contains high concentrations of soluble oxalates and a neurotoxin called caramboxin. Here's what happens when your dog eats starfruit. The oxalates immediately begin forming crystals with calcium in the bloodstream, just like rhubarb. But starfruit's oxalates are more readily absorbed. These crystals travel to the kidneys and slice through the delicate filtering tissues like microscopic shards of glass. The kidney tubules become blocked with crystal deposits, and kidney function rapidly declines. But that's not all. The caramboxin neurotoxin crosses into the brain and causes severe neurological symptoms: confusion, weakness, seizures, and in extreme cases, complete paralysis. Dogs with any pre-existing kidney issues, even mild ones you might not know about, can go into complete renal failure from just a small amount of starfruit. Symptoms develop quickly: excessive thirst and urination as the kidneys fail, vomiting, tremors, and collapse. There is no antidote for starfruit poisoning. Treatment is purely supportive, and many dogs don't survive. Even a few slices can be fatal to medium or small dogs. Now you have 13 fruits and vegetables that pose serious risks to your dog. Notice a pattern? Many of these are foods we consider healthy for ourselves, and that's exactly why they're so dangerous. We assume if it's good for us, it's good for our dogs. But dogs have completely different digestive systems, metabolic processes, and sensitivities. The rule is simple: when in doubt, don't give it. Stick to dog-safe fruits like blueberries, watermelon without seeds, and bananas in moderation. Your dog doesn't need exotic fruits or vegetables to be healthy. High-quality dog food provides everything they need. If your dog has eaten any of these foods, don't wait for symptoms. Contact your veterinarian or the pet poison helpline immediately. With food toxicity, every minute counts. What shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments, and keep your dogs safe.